sloppy, and men in the control group who became infected were even switched into the study group.
My regret is, in terms of the study, I have none. As a scientist, one would like to have seen an ideal scientific study, but we're dealing with human beings over a long period of time, and this is impossible.
In the end, the study confirmed existing data about the natural course of syphilis and found no evidence that syphilis differs from race to race, so-called negative results.
We hadn't really proven any points. If you look at the medical literature as an index of what we've learned, there were 25, 30 papers in the medical literature, most of them reporting negative results.
I don't think anything of scientific significance was learned in the Tuskegee study. But that's not to say that we can't learn an enormous amount about our culture and the practice of science and the practice of medicine from this Tuskegee study that might be of very significant use for our society. And I think that Tuskegee really told us about racism. It really told us about the nature in which very powerful prejudices and hatreds can distort the world of medicine and science.
From the standpoint of many African Americans, Tuskegee is not an isolated incident. For a population with an infant mortality rate twice as high as whites and a life expectancy almost 10% less, there's an entrenched distrust of the white medical establishment. Among blacks today, one legacy of Tuskegee is how it fuels and inflames that distrust.
There are a lot of black people who don't trust white doctors because in this country we look at the skin first. And anybody looking at that, they will say, see, I told you, you can't trust them. Don't you go to those white doctors.
Understand why African Americans feel that way. Don't dismiss the feeling, because the feeling is there. Try to understand why it is. And until we do that, there will be fears of African Americans. There will be distrust of the medical profession. There will be distrust of clinical trials. And we have to do this.
And there are more lessons from Tuskegee. This and other abuses prompted greater protection for experimental subjects. And today, informed consent is required for all research. But Jay Katz investigates cases where that principle is still violated.
Important abuses still occur, and these revolve around the fact that the subjects of research are not fully appraised of the nature of their participation. The lessons of Auschwitz and Tuskegee are these, that we should be very, very careful about abrogating the rights of individual human beings, individual subjects of research for any purpose, including for the noble purpose of advancing science.
First, do no harm. That is the first, the law. One should not carry out medical care research in a way in which harm is done. What we should do then is maximize what good may be achieved given that first law. And so, those are the basic rules. We've always known them. They're part of the Hippocratic Oath.
If within the event that the doctor knew what is wrong with them, with us, they should have treated us. That's the way I feel about it. Now, Lord, we want to thank Thee that these Thy people have come so far in this undertaking. Pray our Father that would bless them, guide them to and from that place of home.
Today, Herman Shaw celebrates his 90th birthday. He's had a long life, and for the most part, a healthy one. Shaw, Howard, and Pollard are among the lucky ones. The government gambled with their lives, but these men survived. Others were not so fortunate. According to government reports, of the 400 men in the study, at least 24 and perhaps as many as 100 died as a result of untreated syphilis. Many others suffered the grim consequences of rheumatism, blindness, and insanity. Most would have been helped or saved by medical intervention.
So the tragedy is those men can't speak today. And I speak for them. But if they could speak from the grave, they would say, my government should never have done it.
In the summer of 1973, a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of the study participants and their families. In 1974, a $10 million out-of-court settlement was reached. As part of the settlement, the United States government promised to give lifetime medical benefits and funeral service to all living participants. The Tuskegee Health Benefits Program, THBP, was established to provide these services. In 1975, wives, widows, and offspring was added to the programs. In 1995, the program was expanded to include health as well as medical benefits. The Center for Disease and Control and Prevention was given responsibilities for the programs, where it remains today in the National Center for HIV/AIDS, Hepatitis, STD, and TB Prevention. The last study participant died in January 2004. The last widow receiving THBP benefits died in January of 2009. There are 11 offspring currently receiving medical and health benefits that they know of. Because when you run tests like that, you don't know who all you're affecting. You don't know who all you're affecting. And this is America being America. What we do is okay. When other nations does it, it's against immortality. It's against the law. It's against the World Health Organization. It's insane. But when America runs tests on their citizens unknowingly, it's okay. And they told the blacks